Great. Welcome everybody to the April 5th meeting of the Town of McCandless Technical Advisory Committee. First order of business is to review the meeting notes from last time. Did everybody get a chance to read through them? Any comments, questions, updates, corrections? Then I would say minutes are approved. Well done, as normal, as normal. All right, second item then was the traffic camera update. I did update this spreadsheet that just added everything.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess our question to you is, do you want, go out, do you want us to give you a couple other names of organizations to get bids from? Where
now, which is Ryan, Chief Hawk, and Jeff Shannon from Public Works. They met with two other companies that are putting together quotes. Because they're getting kind of apples to oranges to some degree, they're kind of seeing everything that's being offered and saying to going to go back to the three that are approved by PlateSmart software to get kind of a picture of everything they want. Also, like the coverages, like Jeff knows the stuff pretty good about what he wants at the parks.
Right.
That kind of helps Ryan because Ryan knows what he wants for the license. So like they're working together on that.
Good.
So I think I'd expect to see something this month.
Okay.
That's like a good, here's everything in front of us and we can make a call from there.
Because as Joe was talking about, if we pick one of the parks, the Vestal to go through.
Pick Vestal, you should be able to cover the Pine Creek and 19 intersection from Vestal. You should be able to do a wireless bridge, and then there are already the big poles on McKnight Road that they're using for the signalization.
Yeah.
So the question would become if you could hop onto those, put your own wireless repeaters, you may be able to cover the whole McKnight Road corridor from Vestal, and or like they said, cover it the other way from Ross.
Yeah. Because
Ross has internet right there at Peebles.
Okay.
And then you get into the other stuff on the 19 corridor. If you could get on the water tower by CCAC, you can probably get all the way down to Ingomar, and or you might be able to get up to Ingomar from. So you would have more upfront costs, but you wouldn't have to pay $600 every intersection. So
that's possible. I'll talk to them about it. I know like some of Jeff, like some of the ones he wants are the ones that move. So PTC?
PTZ,
Okay. So I don't know how that impacts it, if that matters.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah,
the wireless it shouldn't.
I know the one they're talking to, it's like one of the, everyone has different ideas, obviously, for like the contractors coming in. Was talking about power, Ethernet over power. I've never seen that before. So that's a new one. So.
Well, that's how they'll power. Well, that's how all your phones are powered and everything too. And here, that access point.
I thought it was the other way around. I guess in my head was that that one was is power over Ethernet, right?
Yeah.
This one's Ethernet over power. I know it's not that much different, but
okay.
That's what I just had never heard of that before, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So.
Yeah, power line adapter stuff.
Yeah.
Because
we don't have great internet options down at Wall.
Yeah, bad.
Right.
So that's a piece of that. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's also probably limitations on how many cameras we're doing in that sense. So like, I don't know if we're going to hit every light going up 19.
Right. But I mean, I think
you don't need to hit every light.
Would the repeaters still work? I guess. Okay.
They make ones that you could beam at
do anything
50 kilometers if you want to do.
Gotcha.
I mean,
okay.
And they're not terribly expensive.
Yeah.
And then the air fibers, I mean, you can push 1 or 2 gigs over the wireless now without a problem. So, that may.
Yeah. I'll have them talk, I think our plan right now is to see what we really want after we get everything put together, and then telling them what we want then.
Yeah. Okay. And it's the kind, like, if you may be able to do it all right at the water tower even, and if they let you.
Yeah.
And again, that's always the big question, if they let you. I don't remember if they took that temporary pole down or not when they moved they had to pick the cell towers off the top and put them on a temporary pole.
Oh, well, they were redoing that.
When they painted it, they took all the antennas off the top and put it on a pole to the side. That would be interesting if that pole was still there. It's tall, and it might, and again, it's one of those where you would it's point to many points, so you could put one up. And then if you needed a receiver at Cumberland, at Ingomar, I guess you only would have two, you would basically only have two in each direction there. Cause you go to Ingomar and or Cumberland and Ingomar, and then if you go the other way, you have the weird intersection at Sheets and Berrymont, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, and then even if you go Cumberland, I mean, that essentially shoots over to Peebles,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so.
yeah. Again, it's one of those where it might cost $20,000 to do it, but you're paying $600 a pop the other way, so.
Right.
Okay.
Takes a couple years to recoup it, but then you're fine, because that stuff should last 5 years more.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. We will explore that.
Okay.
I'd like to hopefully do something as soon as possible. Is kind of where we were hoping to make something happen this summer, no matter what, even if it's partial. something.
Yeah, picking a vendor and at least get started on
Mhm.
something.
Yeah. The way we're doing, I don't know if it makes sense to do it within the contract for the traffic signals. We talked about trying to save some
Yeah.
costs there.
See if,
I'm not sure if it's gonna work out, because like we don't have enough details here from the state on
yep,
that
That's
grant. Yeah,
not-
they gave us the letter
surprise, surprise.
and we're kind of like, all right, so now like, what are we allowed? And like, we kind of know what to do, but like, we don't want to step
Yeah,
on anything that doesn't get us reimbursed quickly.
yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, any other questions about the traffic cameras? All right, administrative software update. So how are things going?
I mean, things are going good. I feel like I haven't been able to explain this very well when I've come the last few times. And I think, something that's changed, not just with me, but especially with what we want to do with human resources and payroll.
All right,
So the fact that like I kind of threw a wrench into our plans and thoughts for what we were doing with payroll has really changed that direction. And maybe I felt like I was kind of just saying what I kind of knew and didn't really explain it very well.
okay,
But the big piece with like the thought of what we're going to do with the financial software of having modules for both, everything that's financial essentially. So our accounts payable, our receivables,
right,
everything that's general ledger, but also the module for payroll,
payroll,
and then the module for property tax collection.
right,
So me basically saying that I would, and looking at the cost, that it makes sense to go to a third company an outside payroll, really kind of changed that direction of looking at that.
right,
Which is why then I probably pumped the brakes more harder than anyone else in that sense, because I was like, well, is this the best program for us then? So I think that's where my questions have come in.
okay, Yep.
And then throw in the tax software piece of like switching to this DOS.
yeah, from the DOS.
Within what we,
Yeah.
from DOS to Windows.
Yep.
And I think that's an option to do, but that's not gonna be done until, because we couldn't do it this year. It won't be done until next year.
But
After
has-
property tax goes out, right?
Yeah,
you
yes,
do it
Yes.
in
Yeah.
September, you could
Yes,
kind of
the
start it.
the
in
plan would be
September.
to do it, if I'm
October.
remember my deadlines here was that was a fourth quarter project so that we're ready.
Yeah.
Property tax goes out in August, and business privileges due May 1st or
Right.
15th or whatever.
Yeah,
so
so
it's-
that made it kind of look at like, well, what do we really want for our general ledger then, if we're
Right.
just looking at that piece? And I think that has changed a bit I know we've kind of talked about that, but there's two pieces going on, is that there's two other communities that use what we were thinking about and made the most sense looking at the big picture, but now looking at it, I'm not sure if that's our best option. And that's kind of more my opinion probably than anything else. So I feel like I've pumped the brakes hard and really want to assess it.
Okay.
So I don't want to take back what happened before I got here.
right,
I just think that I'd like us to look at it that way after I get through what I think is we're going to make a decision on the third party payroll
okay,
next week.
all right, so that was kind
Which
of,
third party ones did you look at?
So we looked at three, the two that are on the table right now is ADP and Paylocity.
This is for tax collection?
Payroll.
payroll,
Okay. There were a different set last week or last month, I mean, right? They're different now?
no, not for
No.
payroll, payrolls we were talking about ADP last month,
Yeah, the other one it was ADP, Paylocity, and there was a third one.
Paychecks.
It wasn't Paychecks. It's another municipality uses it, made a suggestion, but their employee piece I didn't like as much. It's kind of where we were, because one of the big things, I mean, you know, the way we're doing payroll is by doing it in-house is just very antiquated, antiquated, I can't say it right now. Antiquated, and you know, this would give the employee so many more options for being able to look at their stuff. And the cost was way less than I think we estimated going into it. And obviously, this is all put by the fact that we had an employee that left.
Right.
And we were already talking about it before that, because our W-2 process this year was way more tedious than it needed to be. It should be like pressing a couple buttons. And
So forgive me, I didn't catch what the candidates were. It was DP. I had Paychex, AccuPay payroll and AccuFund recorded.
No,
AccuFund's the financial. package.
AccuFund is finance.
I think
Finance, okay.
if we're talking about the modules we looked at probably last year for payroll, that might be,
Yeah,
because it would have been the AccuFund module that we are currently using.
Okay.
Probably the
Yeah. Right.
so just Springbrook one, and then if there was another,
Edmonds.
okay.
I think.
So for payroll, it's who?
ADP or
ADP?
Paylocity are the two that we are looking at this point. We eliminated a third that I can't remember the name of.
And your plan is to make a decision next week.
Yeah, so at this point, our finance department has reviewed it. We are sending the videos that we did with the salespeople and their engineers.
Yeah.
To share with the department heads that handle payroll for Public Works and Police.
Okay.
Because right now, everything's essentially turned in
It's
via
true.
paper or digitally to HR to review. This way, we might put a little more work on the department heads to like put the data in that way, and then we can check it digitally versus just this kind of multiple ways of doing it.
Okay.
Where are we leaning?
I think either one of them would work great. I think the price point ADP is a little bit cheaper. I really just want my employees that are going to use it every day to give a recommendation to make the decision on.
Okay.
And then property tax and business taxes are,
So the property tax, we're going to switch to the Windows base.
And that's
in fourth
done.
quarter.
That decision's been made.
but
See?
that company was.
That was the plan, but let me make sure that like we've actually signed the dotted line. I
Okay,
don't know that.
but
That's who we currently work with.
RPA.
right, so this is upgrading the in-house modules from DOS to the Windows base.
Yes.
To the new stuff.
Yes.
And that will cover what you want, which is also fairly reasonable. I'm sure you've got costs for helping them, for having you having them help you do the upgrade.
Yes.
Okay.
So let me just make sure. All right. So the Windows version upgrade will be fully implemented with corrections at a lesser cost. There's about a 4 to 8 week implementation window.
Okay. Not bad. Get it done in fourth quarter, so you're ready to roll it out for next
It
year.
might even be able to, like, right after the tax bills go out, it might be a little bit like it's going to be done by the end of the year from everything I'm understanding. Yeah.
And that's for both property and business privilege.
So that's where I think the one is that we want to see how it works before we switch away to it for the business privilege tax.
Because you have two different vendors today
Yes.
for those two pieces of software. So you're gonna upgrade property. Make
By the end
sure
of
it's
this year,
all working.
That's working. So it'll probably be more of a 2025 to actually use the business privilege tax.
I mean, the question I always had with the business privilege tax is how many of those really are there? Like, are you trying to jam in some software when the reality of it is it doesn't matter which one you're going to use, it's going to kind of stink. And
I don't think, like at the end of the day, the fear we have with the one that exists for me, and I've had this happen somewhere else, is that it might disappear
yeah,
at any time
Yeah.
because there's very few vendors and they're not that expensive and you're out there just kind of finding someone that does it. Beaver County had this happen with property taxes last year. The guy just quit in June and said, I didn't even sell my business. I'm just closing up. And everyone, like 14 municipalities used him for all their property tax stuff. So that's why I don't really want to drag it out, but I think our best option is to try to make it one, which is at the end of the day, I know our original plan was to try to make one.
The lesser vendor, the lesser ones, the
Yeah.
better, because you have lesser interfaces and less
Yes.
problems that get introduced in the middle of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the ADP or Paylocity shouldn't be, because that's all they ever do.
Their job is to make it work for
Their
whatever
job
you're
is to
using.
make whatever ends up being the financial package, it basically turns into like. They have to create the file that you can import in the other one, so at least you have that.
Yeah.
The same thing would be with RVA, like they have to create the file,
That goes to
They
the
come
general
over.
ledger. Yeah.
which. Should be straight, I mean, property tax should be even more straightforward than business privilege,
Yes.
but even then, business privilege isn't that complicated.
It's not crazy complicated. It's not like it's
And
a
there's-
huge number.
There's
either.
not 100,000 of them, there's a couple thousand maybe.
Okay,
So that's, so I, like I said, I kind of feel like I pumped the brakes real hard and I didn't explain it very well. And some of it was just me getting used to what we're doing here and also all the other implementations we have going on. It was kind of a, good, but also a lot to take in.
I mean, Tracer's largely done at this point, I would think. right?
Tracer, the public works piece is where they are right now, getting through that piece.
Okay.
The permit stuff is pretty much done. They're working on the last financial piece to work, so we were working with Municipay to set that up. I think we just kind of got it with the Band-Aid off and let it see how it works with internally
Well,
and let it
it's-
go.
yeah, I mean, you're missing the other. Half of it with the finance package, so that's, I mean, which direction are you looking with the financial software?
yeah,
I mean, I don't think that we will throw Springbrook out. But I think, so I was told that AccuFund is making a big update and we want to see what that looked like this summer. To look at that.
do we have any inkling as to what that's gonna look like and how stable it's gonna be?
I can answer that question. I'd say this too. It's one of those when staff first came in and looked at that, it's not the best option in front of them at the
Right.
time. Now that everyone's using it and you kind of deal with the things that you deal with, it doesn't seem as bad. Let me put it that way. I'm not saying that we shouldn't change it. But if they could update the things that are the problems and the stability problems, we could have that conversation. But I think now that we're looking at it just for general ledger versus the two other modules, we might look at a lot more options that could exist out there.
Have you heard anything about this new version of AccuFund, this update that they're doing? Nothing.
I got an email from them about it, but like I don't work with it enough myself to be able to tell you what
Right,
was great about
right.
that option. And I could definitely bring Trisha will gladly come and talk to us at the next meeting.
Well, it may, I mean, you may bring Tyler back into the mix, because that was the real problem was Tyler. It wasn't. None of them, the financial package was really the problem.
No, it
It
wasn't.
was the
thing.
GIS
It
It
of
was
the
the-
planning,
It was the GIS, it was the just
it was
the
everything.
integration, like.
the parcel-based GIS. We really need it for planning, right?
So that's why I was thinking about the same thing. Do we look, because I know Trisha really likes Tyler, she knows it. You know,
So is it, I guess the question is cost then, because.
yeah,
Right.
Tyler tends to be a little,
Yeah.
It was a little.
Size,
but
I
it
think we've
wasn't-
probably gone over that, but like we're at a weird size where we're kind of in between.
you're not a QuickBooks customer, but you're.
Yeah, like those modules, like all those things that Tyler's and Edmonds specialize in are places that are twice or three times as
It
big.
might be a. Sage, I mean, Sage may be, because that's kind of the. In-betweener too, like. It's not quite ERP, the lower Sage, it's not quite the whole ERP, but it's not QuickBooks either.
I'm not familiar with Sage. I will look.
Mass 90, Mass 200,
Oh, okay,
they bought them, so, yeah.
got it. Okay. So what, just because I know.
Yep.
Kathy was saying she'd be asking.
Yes.
What, I mean, it's great that we've got decisions on tax. You got the decision on payroll coming up next week, which that has always been a big pain in the patootie for everybody.
Yep.
Tracer's going well. When are you thinking really honestly of putting a stake in the ground? This is when we're gonna go look at the rest of the finance packages again.
I mean, I think we will look at them. Third quarter and make a decision fourth quarter.
Okay,
If we have what we want in front of us, I don't want to put a hard line on it, but
right,
that's my plan.
I mean, if I look back at the old Tyler one and it's only the financial. It's gonna be, it's. I mean, it's hard to,
When they throw the modules in and how they throw the,
I mean, I would assume like. You don't need the personnel management anymore. You don't need the employee self-service. You don't need time and attendance.
nope,
You need core financials. Benefits enrollment, you probably don't need fixed assets.
and say benefits enrollment actually might fall under one of the ADPs.
Right,
Or like the one of the you know, they've thrown both packages at us and could work.
so. It. Roughly looks like it's in the ballpark of Springbrook. For just the financial,
for just the financial piece,
but you can't tell that until you tell
Yeah.
them like, this is all we want.
right, exactly.
So
But yes, it may not be. There, as you said, there may be other options.
maybe
Just-
we'll look. I mean, obviously we know the big players and we've gone through this, so.
Right. Okay. Right, is there anything that we can, and then we'll get to the. Website in a minute, is there anything we can be doing to help you guys with all of this?
Probably not at this point, but I will definitely.
Okay.
I mean, shoot an email when we're at that.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Okay. And then how's the website, anything else then on this before we move off to the website? Oh, all right,
Yeah.
how's the website coming along?
So there hasn't been any other details they've shared us, and we signed off on what they
Right,
gave us on color scheme and that look. They reached out to John and RJ. John's the project manager on this, even though RJ's helping. And to set up trainings for any staff members that might touch the website.
okay,
You know, we have different levels of who's comfortable with what. John puts everything on the website except for a few department heads like to do it themselves.
right.
That's kind of, so like RJ does all of her own
Oh,
stuff.
of course she does.
But you know, at the end of the day, if I'm sending something to John, he's putting it on for me. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
get in the weeds on that.
Really? You're not,
Yeah, it's funny because I mean,
I'm kidding.
it's not that I haven't designed and done websites, but
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm just being facetious there.
The next steps on that one were the input on the front page. How'd that GUI look
What the,
for the
we
website?
had, we all had a chance to give input. Hopefully everybody looked at that website. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, I didn't get any input that to make any changes at that point for the
Okay.
color scheme and what it looked like. Obviously, it's shockingly better. So it's hard to make any
Optically,
complaints
I like
about it. But so but yeah, that everyone gave us nothing but positive reviews on that, except for like one little change that we already had told them to do.
Right,
So
the one you said. What's the target date for being able to roll this thing out?
we're still on schedule, so I want to say that was late spring, early summer. So I think it's in May that we
Okay.
would probably be at.
That'd be great.
Mhm.
Be nice to do a nice big launch kind of thing.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
To do it. And I just saw like Richland Township just finally switched over to like a nice Civic Plus website.
Mhm,
And that's, you know, it just looks again shockingly better than what they
yeah,
had going on.
Will there be advertisements somewhere like on the marquee at McCandless Crossing or anything like that to announce it?
Yeah, we could do that. I think we'll definitely push hard on social media and then we have so much space they give us at McCandless Crossing. So that's definitely something we could say, check out our new website.
Yeah. Okay.
that'd be great.
And then maybe I'll apply for PSATs is the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors.
Uh-huh,
You can apply for awards for best website and stuff like that. So maybe we'll shoot for that.
Nice.
you should definitely do
Yeah.
that.
Cranberry gets the best like marketing every single year for like all their messaging. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, they have the most. So like,
Well, they do, and they spend the most, and they have the most, the highest
Yeah.
number of staff.
but I just saw that announcement today and it's like, we got to get to there soon.
Somehow, when we do all this, it'll be time to make sure people are aware.
Yeah.
Get some recognition for all the hard work that you and the team are doing.
Yeah.
Cool,
And I think, you know, I think we've been trying to amp up social media a little bit with sharing more from our community partners. Trying to use stories a little bit more since that's, you know, where
Where,
more people go, I think, to look at stuff. So I think we kind of focused a lot on just our content and no reason not to share our stuff from our volunteer fire companies more often and
right,
stuff like that.
yeah, get a conversation going.
Yeah.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. Good.
Cool.
What else? I'm sorry, Lamar, you were gonna,
No, it's cool.
good. Any other business that you have?
No, I don't really have any crazy technical related
Yeah.
things other than I am exploring options for this room
Okay,
and options for what our meetings look like. I'll be honest that I struggle with we have the Zoom. We have the hybrid meeting, and I think I like that option for both council and the public. I've seen school boards that do the live YouTube video with the call-in option.
mm-hmm,
But then the council, like, to try to eliminate the Zoom video problems kind of stuff. But then I get to how do I have council participate then if they can't do Zoom
right,
on top of that? So I'm working through that. I think the struggle we have here of the hybrid system is if we turn the speakers up louder back there, it reverberates
here,
into here, and then the Zoom call doesn't work. So I either got one or the other. It feels like I joked last time it's a 50-50 chance of which one's gonna work right.
Is there any chance of like bringing in Teams?
but Microsoft Teams,
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
how,
a whole other thing, but you know,
I mean, we have Teams because we have Microsoft.
it's not, but I think you're still gonna end up with the same
The
technical issues between the mics and because that's just, if you're just changing the platform, the software piece, you still have the problem. I think it's how this room is set up.
Yeah.
And it's the
That-
boards over
Not
there.
having, it's not, yeah, I mean, it was never really,
it was designed to take video.
well, it was, I mean, originally it was designed to just project audio in the room.
Like,
And
yeah,
it got
Then
slapped
we got some
in,
video.
and
Yeah.
there's no multicast, there's no, a lot of things that, yeah, and again, it's happening
And-
everywhere for the ones that could continue, because it was slap it in, get it done, because that was the only way you could function.
Yeah.
And now it's time to go back and clean it up and fix the, yeah.
Well, my hope would be this room maybe gets a bit of a remodel in the next year. And we can move that to the back, which makes more sense to run back there, obviously. And then maybe that's the way to look at it in the big picture thing. But I'm just exploring that right now.
Right,
I'm asking to see what my temporary option is to make things a little bit better, because if we get a crowd at all, which we had at our last council meeting, no one could hear in the back. And the other thing is every time we come here and test it, there's 4 of us in the room.
and you can. hear
It sounds
back.
great.
Yeah,
And I don't know if like you could add some smaller speakers, maybe not smaller, but just more, that would lead to better options, but I don't know enough about this to.
I mean, better speakers maybe too, instead of
instead
out
of
of the
these,
ceiling and everything else
Yes.
at the level that people are listening and.
That's what I was like, if you put something on the wall that was,
well, more of a surround, yeah, what,
would that not get because I mean, honestly, when you test it, these microphones will pick up everyone talking in there. And
yeah,
it sounds, in Zoom, you can hear everyone talking.
I thought the Teams has better, like sound isolation just baked in the software itself. So I could be wrong. I don't know.
well, but I think the real big issue, what I'm hearing you say is how do you make it so that when you have a full house here, they can hear in the back without getting feedback?
Yeah, our current problem would be more in person.
Yeah.
Being able to hear. The Zoom calls sound great. Like you hear us great right now, I would bet.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some digitation, but it's good.
Yeah. So I want to make this better. I mean, the point of having a public meeting like this is so that people can.
Yeah.
Participate and feel like we're
Right,
not messing things up whenever we got to go live.
I think part of the problem too is that these mics, like. There's 2 levels of control. There's the one level of control for what it's putting out in the room. But then Zoom's picking up everything that comes out of the mic.
And I don't know, do they make microphones like that almost are dual microphones?
Yes.
Well, they make dual microphones.
Yeah.
They make different. Because again, these are just kind of tacked on to whatever you have, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get conference specific, like they sell them in Bluetooth now, but you have to get conference room specific type mics to do the noise canceling on the, active noise canceling.
And you
And
get
it'll-
buttons
Yes.
on them right here.
They gotta have the buttons just so that.
They got
Yeah.
other buttons.
It has a
Yeah.
red and a green.
Yeah.
Someone told me these had buttons and I was like, I didn't think so. Yeah. Sorry, I just like hit that.
Yeah, now we're all touching.
Sorry, Lamar.
No, it's okay.
That one has one, right? But that's a wireless one. So
So does it have a button? Can you mute?
these don't, but there's one wireless one over at the table for like
Oh,
when
okay.
staff comes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay,
At the moment, I guess, one update, PM Computing. Their contract was coming up here at the end of this month. I did ask them because I got 2 union contracts going on, if they could give me 3 months extension and then do an RFP this summer,
okay.
for that. And if you guys had ever talked to Andy, who was our
Yeah,
contact, he
I
did,
heard.
put in his 2 weeks with PM, so. The people they've assigned to us are qualified and the owner of PM is a McCandless resident.
Mhm.
So. No, we'll keep working with them and then do the RFP like we need to this summer.
Okay. Are you thinking, as you think of the RFP, are you thinking of changing levels of support, having them do different things, or basically, re-upping what you've got going on?
I think probably pretty close to re-upping what we're doing. I mean, when I do Andy and I had a long talk, like kind of the exit kind of thing about where we are, and it's one of those size situations too, of like, even if we had a full-time IT person, I think we'd still end up spending that much money on outside work. And we struggle with that with engineering, same way here. Like sometimes we look at what we spend on engineering and I go, man, we could have hired 2 engineers for that, but I used 14 different specialists at Gateway that,
Right.
So like I'd still gonna end up using that type of stuff. So I think we're right on the edge of needing someone here like a little bit more.
Mhm.
But then there's gonna be times where they're sitting here waiting for us to ask them to do something. So I don't know. I don't know if I have a good enough feel on it to tell you to make a big change at this point on it.
I was just, and that's kind of what I expected you to say,
Yeah,
but I was curious as to, now that you've been here for a little while
yeah,
and seeing, because that was the contract with PM was one of the first big things we did.
gotcha. I'm glad we have managed services. Everywhere else I've been, I didn't have managed services. I'm glad we have managed services. I'm glad we have some time here.
Yeah,
I mean, the joke before when salespeople called me at my other place that said who's the IT guy, and I would say me. So I like all this stuff. I think they've never not been responsive quickly to anything I've ever
Mhm.
needed. And anything we've run into, I don't think is outside of the norm of normal, just working through
right.
all our systems that we have and different locations and stuff like that.
Good.
I mean, I would like to get to a point that like our servers in a better room and all that stuff, but
That would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
So it's not in the kitchen.
yeah. I probably should just throw in an update that the body worn cameras downstairs are very close to like full implementation.
Oh, yay, good.
There are some officers that have started to wear them. There's a couple that still
Yeah.
need to
Oh,
finish the full training to do it. But yeah, and those are all, there's, I think 2 cars that still needed a little bit of hardware to put in
Mhm.
to get through, but then that should be implemented here pretty soon.
Great.
that's cool.
Good to have that done.
Yeah.
And on the fire Southcore stuff we did, Jeff has moved forward on all that.
Jeff is expected, if everything goes right, he's kind of penciled for a May 1st go live
Great.
with the pre-planning software.
Great.
And I'm meeting with the volunteer fire chiefs for our regular volunteer fire chief, volunteer fire steering committee meeting
Mhm.
next Tuesday, where we're just gonna discuss what that looks like long-term, because we kind of jumped on this early because it was cheaper than we thought. And but it's a $6,000 cost every year. And if they get rid of Rover, I just want to discuss with them what we could split costs on that long-term, because we put this in the budget as a one-time thing this year. It wasn't like expected to always be there.
Yeah,
So
okay.
now we share a lot of costs in how we handle things
Bless you.
already. So, it's kind of just a discussion about it. I don't know, at the end of the day, how we end up making that work no matter what.
Good.
But I want to try to get taken care of before they need to renew Rover, which is their
Right,
current software they use for
right.
the first due we'll take care of.
Okay, good. Good deal.
Yeah.
And does anybody else have anything? Any other topics?
No.
All right. Then do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second,
All right, we are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
thank
We will
you.
see you next month.
Thank you.